on the Dr. Oz show, Hollywood superstar Gwyneth Paltrow opens up to Dr. Oz on loss.
It's the most devastating thing that's ever happened to me.
Criticism.
How does it make you feel when people attack you for being a bad mom?
And her health crisis.
You thought you were dying.
It was really terrifying, actually. I thought I was having a stroke.
The big wake-up call that changed the way her family eats. Could her extreme diet work for you? Next.
I have wanted to have today's guest on our show for a very long time. Not because she's an Academy Award-winning actress, but because she's become a big voice in the health movement. Gwyneth Paltrow is here. Now, today, for the first time, she opens up about the details of her own health struggles, the criticism of how her diet choices may be impacting her kids, and what she's discovered to revitalize her own health. Please welcome Gwyneth Paltrow. That's, in Turkey, they always kiss on both sides.
Oh.
And sometimes when I kiss people in this country, by mistake, you end up in the middle.
Oh, gosh.
Which is the worst place.
I've been in England too long.
So thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I have followed all the things you've been saying with great interest because you have catalyzed, I think, different thoughts in a lot of folks. But I get your new book. By the way, she's got a new book. It's called It's All Good. I open up the very first page, and I'm stunned to read about this major health crisis you had. I mean, you thought you were dying.
Yeah.
What happened?
It was really terrifying, actually. I was in our house in London, and I had just made a big lunch. We had friends over, and my kids were running around, and I felt strange, and I couldn't figure out why. And I remember putting the food down and then thinking I couldn't find words. And I started to get very nervous, and then I got a blinding pain on the right side of my head, and the right side of my body went numb, and I couldn't really move my arm and leg, and I thought I was having a stroke.
I would have thought that for sure.
Yeah, and it turned out to be a very bad migraine, which I guess can imitate those symptoms. But needless to say, I was very worried. And I went to the doctor, and I had anemia, I had a vitamin B deficiency, I had a nodule on my parathyroid, I had really high cortisol. I was kind of a mess. And I thought I was a healthy person. I exercise, and he said, this is really correctable. I don't want to put you on medications. A lot of this is diet-based stuff. So he said for 3 weeks that I should go on a really healing diet and eliminate anything that was, potentially inflammatory from the diet for 3 weeks. And I stuck to it, and I had to cut out coffee, which was terrible, and wine, which was even worse, and cheese and bread and all the stuff I like to eat sometimes. But by the end of it, my blood was completely different, and I felt great. I had lost weight, and I thought there really is something to this, food as medicine thing.
So the loss of your father, I think, changed where you're headed in your life a bit. It seemed to catalyze you to move towards an investigation of your own health.
Yes.
Please explain that role, that event to me.
Well, when he was diagnosed with throat cancer,
What a cute picture of you and your dad. Oh, my goodness.
that was when I was a teenager in the summer. When he was diagnosed with throat cancer, he had a major surgery, and he had radiation, and he lost his salivary glands from the radiation, and so he was eating through a tube in his stomach. It was very brutal. And I really thought, how can we help him, and how can we help him to heal this? And I started going on this crusade of let's all go macrobiotic, and I started reading about, anti-cancer diets and increasing cruciferous vegetables and cutting wheat out. And I tried to get him on the bandwagon, but he was like, I'm about to squirt vodka through the tube in this stomach, He was so
fully.
He just wanted to be normal again. And I remember once I sort of cracked this macrobiotic cake because he loved chocolate cake, so I was trying to make him a healthy chocolate cake back in the day, and I'll never forget it. It's a famous story in our house now, but I was so proud, and I gave it to him to try, and I said, well, what do you think? And he said, it's like biting into the New York Times. So I realized I had to make my healthy food taste a little bit better.
How did it weigh on you emotionally that you couldn't save him?
I mean, it's the most devastating thing that's ever happened to me. You know, him being sick, and then I thought, you know, he had turned a corner because he had had the all clear for nearly 5 years. And oral cancer is very hard once, and he was stage 4, so it's very hard. It usually does come back at that point. I had convinced myself that he would be okay, and you know, and until that point, he was really the love of my life, and I suffered a lot, and I still suffer a lot. I miss him a lot. It's really hard.
I can see it in your eyes. What did you learn from the experience?
I think what I learned from the experience, above everything else, is that, you know, thinkers like Rudolf Steiner, you know, who say there's a root cause for illness, and a lot of it is emotional, and a lot of it is unexpressed. And that link between the way that we regard ourselves, what guilt and shame we hold on to, what we don't express, how that is often the root of disease, and of course what we eat. And you know, my dad wasn't a very healthy eater, and I think that it was just a bad recipe for but I think for me it really crystallized the point of view that, you know, you can take charge of your own emotional and physical health, and you know, you can do a lot in the effort to stay healthy.
Well, it seems to me anyway, your father's illness, your own health scare was part of the root,
Yes.
the cause of this book being written. And you focus in here a lot about the elimination diet. You
Right.
mentioned it a bit earlier. And if I can, I'm just going to share with everybody what's outlined by Gwyneth in the book. You got rid of coffee and alcohol. You pointed those out. That was especially painful. But imagine not being able to eat dairy or eggs or sugar or shellfish or wheat or meat, potatoes, soy, all processed foods.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
Corn I wasn't allowed to have.
I mean, what's left?
Well, I'm a real foodie. I love to eat. And so I thought, you know, wait a minute, there's a huge list of things here that I can eat. Any vegetable, you know, chicken, turkey, quinoa, millet, you know.
Well, did it work for you? I mean, how do you feel now?
It did work for me. I feel great. And, you know, I try to keep that as my sort of baseline, eating cleaner food and non-processed food. But, you know, I mean, last night I landed from LA and I had a cheese plate and a baguette. So,
you did. You cheat sometimes.
I know, I do.
It makes me feel a little better.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think it's all about balance, and I don't like to deny myself anything. So.
Well, speaking of balance, you've put your entire family on this elimination diet, and people have said that you're a bad mom for feeding your kids this way.
Right.
I just love to hear how you respond to this criticism.
Well, it's actually not true. They're not on an elimination diet at all. What it is that my son has very bad eczema, and he's allergic to gluten, and he's allergic to cow dairy. And so I try at home to make everything gluten-free for him, because the difference in his comfort is unbelievable when he's sticking to his, you know, what he's meant to be eating.
Yeah.
I don't know where they get some of this stuff. Like, they say I don't give my kids carbs, and I'm like feeding them seaweed. I have no idea. But no, they eat Oreos too, and they're normal kids.
How does it make you feel when people attack you for being a bad mom? I mean, it's the most precious thing we do as parents.
Yeah. It doesn't bother me because I know who I am, and those people are obviously strangers and don't know me, because I've devoted my life to my kids, and my kids are amazingly polite and hilarious, and they're wonderful. So,
like their mom.
well, I don't know about that, but
So give me some advice. Share with everybody some advice that you would offer if your kids were, you know, playing with other kids who didn't eat well, and for that reason, perhaps they weren't eating well either. How do you get kids to eat the right thing?
Well, you know, part of my philosophy is when they're out in the world, they're going to make their own choices, and I totally respect that. The only reason that I try to be good at home is, again, because my son has, like, a physical manifestation of the allergy, and he gets so uncomfortable, and, you know, it can cover his body when it gets really bad. So at home, I try to keep the food clean. But, you know, when they're out in the world, they can make their own choices, and that's fine. But that is why at home, you know, I try to make things gluten-free and give them gluten-free macaroni and cheese instead of regular macaroni and cheese and stuff like that. Just little things to make make the food just that little bit healthier.
So you've got so many wonderful insights that when we come back, I'm going to do something a little special. We're going to take Gwyneth over to the cooking table, and she's going to share some of her favorite recipes from her brand new cookbook that your whole family is going to adore. Stay with us.
Coming up, Gwyneth's favorite healthy comfort foods.
Oh, God!
Easier than it looks.
Then you let it cool. There you scrape it up off the floor.
Plus, her detox-friendly mojito.
Oh, folks, this is good.
And later,
Before you shell out another $1, you can't miss this.
what the beauty industry doesn't want you to know.
I'm excited to be on Dr. Oz.
Dr. Oz's show. So let's start talking. Now the web to have a national conversation about health and wellness. This is a no embarrassment zone. There's no topic that's off limits. I came to work today. I'm so lucky. And make sure you're sharing this information with the people you love. You're good to go. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss anything. And remember to check back often to see what's new. Now, back to the show. Back with Gwyneth Paltrow, who showed us how to make 2 of her favorite recipes from her brand new cookbook, It's All Good, which focuses on super healthy comfort food. So I'm just curious if you cook as much as I do. And I never cook, by the way.
Oh,
How many nights a week do you cook?
I cook pretty much every day.
All right, so what do you got picked out today? What's the first thing we're going to make?
Well, I was going to show you something that my kids really love, which is fish winkers, fish nuggets or whatever you want to call them.
They're like fish sticks, it looks
They're like fish sticks, exactly. So you can use regular mayonnaise if you want to. I did this recipe with Vegenaise, which is a kind of a mayonnaise substitute that I really love. And I mixed Dijon mustard and granary mustard, or grain mustard. I really have lived in England too long. And what this does is give it a nice coating without dipping it in flour or egg or milk. And then you take the flounder, whatever kind of fish you like.
The kids must help you do this, I would think.
The kids do. My son loves to help me cook. He is so into it.
Is he good at it?
He's really good at it.
I got
Okay, you can do that. So you can put in the Old Bay
Okay, a little bit of Old Bay.
and the salt.
I love helping in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I'm very bad at doing it by myself.
You're a very good-looking helper, by the way.
You're very kind. You're very kind. Thank you. And
Yeah, you can
Old
just
Bay.
tip that all in and now mix it up for me. Excellent. Oh, very good.
Okay.
And then these are gluten-free breadcrumbs. And, I talk about in the book as well, you can use gluten-free pretzels. There are a lot of things you can do. Then just pop it on the tray. And you can do some too if you like.
Let's see what your son feels like doing this.
Yeah, exactly. And then, they just bake in an oven for about 8 minutes. And if you want them nice and crispy, then you broil them for, 2 minutes at the end. And then they come out looking like that. Just beautiful.
May I taste one?
Yeah, of course.
8 minutes, that's it?
Well, 8 minutes and then broil for 2 or 10 straight like that.
Oh, they're really good.
Yeah, they're really good.
Where do you get the ideas for the recipes?
I just wanted to do things that my kids love to eat, but slightly healthier. So I decided, thank you very much. Yeah. So, kids love nuggets. They love anything fried. And so instead of deep frying it, I thought, well, let's try and bake it and do a gluten-free version.
Now, that part I can understand you can make healthy. This next part is where a lot of us sometimes fall down on the job, which is dumplings.
Right.
If I could make healthy dumplings, I'd pay big bucks for it.
Okay.
So you have apparently cracked the code on veggie dumplings.
I have, and my kids love these. I make them all the time. And one of the things I've also noticed with my kids is they love anything that they can dip or assemble themselves or anything that comes on a stick. So
yes, it's a good point.
Yes, exactly. So basically what I do here is I just saute some cabbage and onion, and then you mix in some tofu.
I can mix.
Okay, fabulous. And some peas and quinoa, which is fantastic, as I'm sure you know. And just, saute it. Add some sesame oil and some soy sauce, or you can also do wheat-free tamari if you're really avoiding gluten.
Can I show you how they make these in Turkey?
Sure.
Step away from the table.
Oh, God!
Please. It was really nothing. It's all in the wrist. All right, so we got that all mixed up.
Then what you do is I take a potato masher and I just kind of mash it up to make a good filling. Then you let it cool, or you scrape it up off the floor.
Yeah, that's right. Whatever's left in the pan. Okay.
And then when it's cool, it looks like this. And I think this is really easy. I mean, it can seem intimidating, but it's really not. You just take a little bit of the mixture, put it in the middle, and you take some water, paint the edges.
This is like a kindergarten game.
Yeah. And then you press the corners together.
You really can do this, my goodness.
Yeah. And then you just press it. And you stick it in your little bamboo steamer.
What other kinds of geometric shapes can you make?
You can make anything. You can get the round ones and make moons and do it like that.
All right. By the way, is it true that you actually rap in the kitchen? I've heard that rumor.
Yes.
You do?
I listen to hip hop all the time, so yeah.
So you got 50 Cent hipping in there. What are you listening to?
Not 50 Cent so much, but
Can I taste one of these?
yeah, of course.
I'll use your chops. So what do you listen to?
I listen to Kid Cudi, Kendrick Lamar, Jay-Z. You know, I'm a hip hop fan. What do you think? So good, right? Very healthy.
Hip hop and dumplings. Yeah, very good. All right. This is a pièce de résistance. This is a refreshing cocktail.
Yes.
It's in the book as well.
Exactly. Kids love these too. This is what I call the detox-friendly mojito.
Mojito. And the kids like
We
it?
can spike it afterwards when no one's looking.
What's in it?
It's mint and cucumber. Taste it. Basil. Lime.
Oh, folks, this is good. No, if no other reason, get the book to get this recipe. This is really a good idea. So with a little bit of alcohol, it'd be fantastic.
Exactly.
All right. When we come back, Gwyneth reveals her all-natural tricks for revitalizing her body from the inside out. And guess what? Can do the exact same for you. Stay with us.
Up next,
This actually has a ton of data behind it.
Gwyneth's favorite all-natural remedies.
And I give it to my kids when they're starting a cold.
Plus, how to boost digestion and sleep better with one possible side effect.
Does that happen to you?
Not yet.
Coming up.
I'm excited to be on Dr. Oz.
Dr. Oz's show. So let's start talking. Now the web to have a national conversation about health and wellness. This is a no embarrassment zone. There's no topic that's off limits. I came to work today. I'm so lucky. And make sure you're sharing this information with the people you love. You're good to go. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss anything. And remember to check back often to see what's new. Now, back to the show. We're back with Gwyneth Paltrow. She's revealing her all-natural tricks to revitalizing your body from the inside out. She always seems to be in the know about the latest health trends and alternative remedies. How do you keep up with this stuff? I read what you're doing, and that's how I get ideas sometimes.
I read a lot as well. I do a lot of research, and I'm fortunate and I get to meet really interesting people like you and ask questions, and so that's basically it.
Well, you remember the answer, so kudos for that.
Thank
So you're
you.
going to walk us through some of the things you're doing in your own family. I'm
Sure.
particularly curious about this because you're a mom, so you
Right.
actually have to use this stuff day in and day out. The first tip you offer is for boosting digestion.
Yes. My kids don't eat this, but I love it. It's daikon radish, which is a Japanese radish found in any Asian supermarket. And it's got really high enzyme content, and so it's very good for digestion. The Japanese eat it after they eat anything that's hard to digest, like anything fried. And I like to braise it with a little bit of sake and soy sauce.
Sake? Oh, my goodness. All right. Next trick helps get rid of colds. This you must
Yes.
use on the kids once in a while. It is?
This is amazing. Oil of oregano. And luckily now, it tastes horrible. So now luckily it comes in these little capsules. And I give it to my kids when they're starting a cold. And it really does help sort of shorten the duration of the cold.
So how do you know when it's okay to use oil oregano, a home remedy, and when you need to take them to the doctor? How do you make that decision?
You know, if they have a fever that is uncomfortably high, I take them to the doctor.
You know, we use this in our house. When my kids were younger, they used to actually smell like pizzas.
Yeah.
Because my wife would have this all over this and garlic and all these
Yeah.
remedies. I'm not sure, how fast it would make them feel better, but they often would believe they were getting better because they had their mother's love supporting them.
Oh, that's nice.
All right, next trick is to help avoid germs.
Yes.
And this actually has a ton of data behind it. Please share it with everybody.
Okay, well, people think I'm insane 'cause when I get on an airplane, when I get to my seat, I spray this all over my seat and under my tongue because the research says that colloidal silver really keeps viruses away. It's a real viral repellent.
Yep.
So I use that a lot, especially when we're traveling. I spray the kids' seats, and I'm like, what is this crazy woman doing?
This actually was the first antibiotic. It was silver.
Was it?
Yeah, they used to put silver coins in milk to keep the milk clean. I mean, these are ancient therapies, and we haven't thought about it very much because we have antibiotics. But this is a very smart way of killing off stuff. We actually, in our family, are crazy about squirting it in our throats.
Yes.
It's our throat spray.
Yeah,
so
I do
every
that
day,
as well.
throat spray. We squirt it in there, and off we go.
That's great.
You do that too?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think of the taste?
I don't think it's so bad. It's pretty mellow.
It's pretty neutral. We have some
Yeah.
fun home remedies for making it taste more palatable for the kids. If you make it taste good for the kids, they actually will believe that it's something important for them.
That's
They'll take
true.
it. Last up, and by the way, all these are on health food stores.
Yes.
The last trick you have is for sleep. Now, before you tell us the remedy, how many hours do you sleep a night?
I try to sleep 8 hours a night, but it depends if anyone comes to my room and wakes me up or, but I try to get 8 hours. It's important.
So you do get 8 hours?
I do. I try to.
All right. So what do you do to get there? Because it's not easy for a lot of our viewers.
Yeah. Well, I found magnesium to be really helpful. They say it really calms the nervous system.
Well, just to endorse what you're saying, because I really am such a big supporter of so many of these ideas, probably 3/4 of our population is magnesium deficient.
Oh, right.
And it's a very smart thing to do if you want to get better sleep. How much do you take a night?
I take whatever it says on the bottle, 3 or something like
That's
that.
good. It's fine. 200 milligrams is a good way to go. If you
Okay,
take
good.
too much, you'll get the runs. Does that ever happen to you?
Not yet.
All right. Take us with you.
Thanks.
It has been a real pleasure having you on.
It's been an honor.
All
Thank
right.
you.
When we come back, the anti-aging secrets the beauty industry doesn't want you to know. From eye creams to lipsticks, we are blowing the lid off your favorite products. Stay here.
Coming up, beauty industry insiders tell all.
You were kidding me. Phil Duke.
The shocking truth
You argued that we're actually wasting our money.
about your favorite products.
How is it possible that the beauty industry gets away with this?
The biggest anti-aging secrets next.
I'm excited to be on Dr. Oz.
Dr. Oz's show. So let's start talking. Now the web to have a national conversation about health and wellness. This is a no embarrassment zone. There's no topic that's off limits. I came to work today. I'm so lucky. And make sure you're sharing this information with the people you love. You're good to go. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss anything. And remember to check back often to see what's new. Now, back to the show.
What the beauty industry doesn't want you to know.
You were kidding me. I feel duped.
Where to spend and where to save.
You argued that we're actually wasting our money. Are you spending hundreds of dollars on anti-aging products and have yet to see lasting results? Well, before you shell out another dollar, you can't miss this. Today, I brought the ultimate insiders here to reveal the anti-aging secrets the beauty industry doesn't want you to know.
Every year, Americans spend up to $20 billion on cosmetics, promising you new beauty solutions that turn back the clock. But how do you know what really works? What should you spend your money on? We called in 2 cosmetic industry insiders